morning, everybody. This is Joe Sonona from Sonona Speaks Seminars, and this is Coffee Talk with the Listing Pros in Real Estate. And my guest this week is Anthony Fernandez from Century Homes. How are you, Anthony?
Oh, very good this morning. Thanks so much for having me, and what a great morning it is.
It really is. So tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you get started in real estate, and how long have you been a realtor?
All right, well, let's take it back just quite a few light years. We're going to go back 15 years, and that's 2005. And I know we've been seeing each other around quite a bit. What got me into this is I'm a second generation. Well, obviously, we come with a wide variety of different backgrounds, and my mother was in the business, and she said, "Hey, help me out." And you know how that goes. You start getting enrolled into something that pretty much snowballs into where you're at today. And there's so many things that drive you to stay and continue on with your practice. I find it to be very, I guess to say very entertaining. At times it has this adrenaline rush, which is cool. And I'm with Century Homes. Had been quite a few, I would say, shoes throughout my career. Started with Remax, and from Remax was team leader interim while the transition of turning that office into a KW. Made that happen, and then led teams. And essentially now I'm with Century Homes Realty Group, located in Flushing. We cover 3 counties. My team, I have another team operating out of there. And that's pretty much where we're at now.
That is a handful, right?
Oh.
So this is a listings program, and I'm honored to have you as my guest this week. But I want to know what Anthony Fernandez's secret sauce is to listing properties, if you want to share it.
Absolutely no. I would have brought my ketchup bottle because that's secret sauce right there. And the reason why is because it's funny. It's ketchup, and I'm a dad, so that's about as funny as it's going to get. Basically, it's catching up with your clients or your prospects, better said. You just can't stay out of their picture. You really just have to stay in their forefront and not necessarily pester. I never found that to be effective. I've always thought that if you come around and deliver value, come from contribution, and maybe give them an update on the market, maybe just see how you're doing. There's so much things that you can say aside from, can I get the listing? Or, I could sell your house for more than someone else, which is, tried and said, and I'm sure they heard it 1,000 times, that at one point they're just handing you the business. They know that you're in it for something that they care about, which is their own livelihood. So that's pretty much it. Catch up with your people and stay in touch.
And has it always been that way, or when you were first a new agent, what did you do to get a listing? How did you begin? I know that, a lot of guests on this show, they tell you from the beginning to now, because I want to show or illustrate to, especially to new agents on this show, that nothing's easy and how you have to work for it. And if they hear it from you, per se, maybe that will inspire them. So tell
Absolutely.
us your beginning.
Well, don't quit. So my beginning to making my first sale, which then I eventually started to get listings afterwards, it took some time, right? I said to myself, well, I've got a decent amount of savings. I'm going to take this savings. I'm going to put it into an investment for me, like you're starting up a company. Right. So if you were starting a cookie shop or whatever be the case, you've got to sell a lot of cookies until you start breaking a profit, because you've got the rent to pay, salaries, insurances, and so forth, which is all part of your initial investment. Right. And you're always thinking like a baker, because whatever you're doing in the dark at night is a product you're selling in the morning when folks come around your shop. So it was a lot of hard work in hiding. It was a lot of that type of planning ahead. So you're thinking always 3 months ahead. Whatever you were doing today, you didn't expect to have a transaction within the next 30 days. You thought, well, this is going to be something for the next 3 months, right? So you wanted to make as many mistakes as early as possible and have as many one-on-ones and belly-to-bellies as quick as possible. I went on about 20 listing appointments, and I bombed every single one. I say I bombed because I didn't get the listing, but quite frankly, I still spoke to a lot of those people, and it seemed to be like we generated a good connection.
Well, just on that point, what when you say you bombed,
Yeah.
tell us about that. Like, give what
Oh,
makes an agent bomb? What would they actually? Um, why wouldn't they go with you? You said 20?
about 20 listing appointments. Yeah, it was,
Wow.
and I remember
Okay.
this because, you have different phases, right? So you have listing appointments of which you're getting them to obviously sign and jump on, right? Then you have these listing appointments where they're like, oh, I'm going to think about it. I'll get back to you. And they never do. You have these listing appointments where like, okay, we went with someone else or we decided not to move forward and so forth. And that's when I say I bombed because I didn't walk out with the signed paperwork. I say that, if everyone says, hey, if I get on a listing appointment, I pick it up. That's not um, so the ones that I didn't get the listing and someone else got the listing, um, I assume it was for whatever reason, and probably because I was young. That was probably one of the biggest pieces. As far as preparation came, I made sure I did my work in the dark and I came with all the paperwork. But some folks you're just not going to click with, and actually, some folks I was relieved it didn't work out. So I rather have the no and know that I can move on to something else than have a yes that is going to drag on for the rest of my life. Like it's
Right.
just going to be a dragging transaction, very difficult to deal with. So I was very much invested in giving them their 2 hours. My listing appointments usually go hour and a half to 2 hours, and getting as much information as possible. And if it didn't work out, it didn't work out. I was totally fine with it. My first sale came somewhere in between there, and that was selling a home to a buyer. And I got to tell you, you got to commit to it. So when I got in the game, I had a pair of shoes, and I said, I'm never going to buy another pair of shoes until I make a sale. And my shoes started going, sideways. Like I started walking like this, and it's that kind of commitment where you got to
Was
put
that from door to door? Your shoes were going like this?
door to doors, showings to showing, handing out flyers. I used to go to the bus stops and flyers and business cards, supermarkets. I stand outside. I got kicked out of a couple of malls. So I just wanted to get out there. This is
Tell
pre
me about the
Zillow.
frustrating moments. Tell me about those moments. Tell me about the days when you
Ah,
wanted to quit
you want to get
and what
juicy?
got you back into the game. No, no, no. We're going
Yeah.
deep in here. We're going deep. I
6 months
did
of tape,
actually.
I wanted out. I'll tell you that.
You're funny because you saw the other coffee talks and you thought this coffee talk was going to be the same run. But I want to know, like, when you said that's apropos, you got a Superman cup too.
Clark Kent right
But
now.
tell me, tell me, like, the days when you bombed and you said, that's it, I'm done.
Oh yeah.
Because see, that serves as inspiration too for those agents
Yes.
that feel at the moment, at the very end of um, their rope, they feel that they've done everything, but they still haven't done something. And
Absolutely.
what is that they haven't done?
Yeah. You know, Joe, this is a learning experience. Um, Real estate, right? You can go as high up as you like. No one can stop you, right? There isn't like, oh, you're just a salesperson. You can't make this kind of money, right? So all of this stuff really makes a big difference, right? You basically got to be in a situation where you look at yourself and you say, uh, are you like, going to commit? Are you going to continue? Or are you going to just try to ride the good weather?
Right, right, right.
When you get to this point, Joe, you got to really say to yourself, why did I get into this in the first place? Like, what was I set out to do here? Was it to make the quick buck or was it to really make something out of this? And the way I looked at it was everything happens in real estate, right? Some ball game is being played on a piece of land owned by somebody. Some house is having a party somehow, some way. Even today with the Zoom calls, it's happening in a house under a roof. So I said to myself, why not find myself and put myself in the mindset, right, in the frame of thought of like, I am the builder of everything that happens within real estate. I'm the connector of this. So you gave yourself a higher purpose versus calling somebody and saying, "Hey, look, I could take nice pictures. I can put a yard sign. I can do whatever virtual tour." It was a higher purpose than that. And if you enter the conversation on that level, then when I say you bomb, you don't really bomb in the sense like you beat yourself up about it because that's your own worst enemy. All right. And you just basically say, okay, you know what? I got it. I swung at the bat. Yeah, I swung the bat at the ball and I missed.
So is that your advice to a new agent? Is that what you would
Absolutely.
tell a new
Get up
agent?
and
Don't
swing.
beat yourself up about things.
Yes.
Okay.
Get out there, get up, swing the bat. If you don't, You can't hit a home run if you didn't swing, right?
Yeah.
And you don't know
What's
what
your
you're
advice
doing if
to
you
a
didn't swing
seasoned
out.
agent?
Seasoned
Because
agents. Well,
those apparently those the people that beat you out of those listings, right? Those 20
yeah.
listings, you lost to maybe somebody who was seasoned, let's say like me, or more experienced, we'll say.
Uh-huh.
And did you ever say to yourself, gee, if I could give them a piece of advice, what would it be?
So one of the things is thinking bigger, right? So if I'm a seasoned agent, or in this case, I guess I am a seasoned agent, I guess. If I'm talking to someone who's not, or someone who is telling me, hey, look, you're a seasoned agent, here's some advice. Here's what I would say basically. It's think bigger. And the thing is, we tend to look at certain things one dimensional. You go into a listing appointment, you're thinking, I'm going to get the listing appointment. This is going to work out. But what happens when you don't? Are you just that one trick pony? And that's what happens in many cases with a lot of seasoned agents. They're like, I've done this so many times, they become jaded. And it's like, okay, I didn't get the listing. You know what? They didn't deserve me, so on and so forth. Well, maybe it didn't work out, but you should always turn the opportunity into an opportunity for someone else. And if it's a
Right.
referral and you say, hey, look, is this everything that's good with you? Yeah. No, whatever. Well, could I refer somebody to you that I think would be a great recommendation? A way I look at it is basically I've given out tons of referrals and I love it. At this point, it's like I'd rather take, a percentage off of something that I passed on to someone else and gave
Right.
them the open door, and I know I can trust, than trying to gobble it up myself. And I think as a seasoned agent, we have to start realizing that these transactions are becoming much more intricate, much more detailed. There's a lot more T's to cross and I's to dot. We don't necessarily need to take it on all. I think we can definitely find ways to leverage our time and give experience to that next generation, which is coming up,
Yeah,
and getting them.
I truly
Getting them.
believe that. And
Yeah.
I know a lot of seasoned agents that are intimidated by the newbies that come into our industry. And I always say to them, why? I mean, you have a book of business, you leverage that book of business, and then someday you're going to take that book of business and pass it on
Right.
to somebody. The tragedy of a seasoned agent, dying, so to speak, or retiring out of the business is not passing on his or her talent to a newbie to get it right, to making sure that the
Right.
newbie or the new agent is not, doesn't have, you know, I see a lot of agents with this, and this is why they don't have a structure. They don't have some sort of structure. They don't have some sort of a mentor like us to guide them.
Right.
And that's the tragedy in it, because then they'll learn the bad habits.
Absolutely. I
And,
mean, look,
you know,
it's one of the things I say when I started. I wish I didn't get a license. I wish it was more like an apprentice license. And this apprentice license allowed me to shadow somebody, you know, until I got my fully fledged license. Because it's not something you're going to get out of a textbook in licensing course. And then when you're out there, you're going to pick up a bad habit if the best producing person or most influential person around you or in that office has all of these bad habits.
and
And
the
it's
worst
just
thing a
it's just not
broker
worth
could
it.
ever do is, here's your license, here's your desk, go out and make money, and don't bother me ever again without having some sort of education. Hey, believe it or not, there are some offices that I've seen with that kind of mentality, and you say to yourself, you know, that's the wrong way to do it, and
Absolutely.
you're putting out a liability out there. You're not putting out an agent.
Absolutely,
You're
and we got to
putting it
look at
out,
we got to look
right?
at other industries too. Other industries and got obviously a lot of people replaced because there was this kind of confusion for the consumer experience through the process of purchasing that thing, right? So let's say a travel
Right.
ticket, there was this sort of confusion. So they're like, "Oh, can we get this replaced?" And it basically came to the point where that there's no real human involvement as there was before. The same thing goes with toll booth operators. You got to look at
Yeah.
it that way. We can't make it so filled with friction to get into
Yeah.
the industry or get good while being in the industry. Absolutely, I agree.
So you're involved in NARUP, the National Association for Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. Your title is vice president, and you're going to be president of the whole organization of Queens, right?
Yes, the Queens chapter. So a great chapter to be a part of, and that'll be next year. That will be
Oh,
next year,
that's awesome.
2021. Yes,
That's
thank you.
awesome.
Thank you.
Tell me, how did you get involved with NARAP?
Wow. I actually, people were knocking at my door for years, and I kept saying no. I kind of felt like I was just going to bring on another job to myself. And
You
it just,
did.
yeah, well, it is. It is. I mean, it definitely takes a certain type of individual to get out there. But it's a good experience. It's a good
Yes, it is.
experience. And I got to tell you, you want to belong to an organization that is, how we say, grassroots sort of led. Everybody's pitching in.
Yeah.
You want to have those organizations that do have you get head to head with somebody so that you grow. If you're just going in, like I said, and just trying to stay within your office or stay within, the confines of your neighborhood that you service, you're really just playing the game on one side. You need to circle the bases. You need to really see the entire field. And I think an organization like NARAB, and I'd be excited for other things to come in life. This organization's great. Queens chapter is an excellent chapter. We have other brother and sister chapters which have opened up nearby us, and we really work it to develop these events and start learning things.
And they are
Coordinating.
very good events. You have some
Thank you.
great business sessions, and recently with the whole COVID-19 experience, you hosted some nice, some
Thank you.
great Zoom calls yourself. You moderated a lot of them, and you
Yeah.
brought a real value to your members. And this member of NARAP got
Yeah.
some
I
good
know.
value and some good nuggets from you.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, congratulations on that accomplishment. Tell
Thank you.
me, in your listings, though, when you do market your listings, what is your secret sauce there? What kind of technology do you use?
It depends on the package, obviously, somebody bought into, right? Because you do want to develop your stuff in a way that your consumer easily understands what is it that you're going to provide them with. So let's just say someone has a particular property where there's difficulty with tenants or there's difficulty with showing, limited times, and so forth. You want to go with whatever experience you can create for the buyer to feel ready to make a move on the property. Take it to that next step.
Yeah.
So my way of incorporating technology, whether it's doing my YouTube videos, right, on my channel from the neighborhood, or whether it's something where I'm going to do a virtual reality tour or the photos even and so forth, it's all to try to enable this project, right, of selling this house moving forward. It's how do I enable it to move forward? How do I get to the next step and get the buyer into the conversation? How do I provoke that? So technology wise, we all have social media. So those are our loudspeakers, our bullhorns to get the information out. But I think at the end of the day, it's circling back, and it's really just fundamentals. It's circling back, whether it's email, whether it's social media, whether it's direct mail, doing them all. I think a multi-layered approach is the way to get to people.
Yeah.
I mean, we have way too many television channels. We have way too many websites.
And most of them are
Um,
garbage.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, listen, there's still the newspaper, right? Here's the newspaper right here. There's still the newspaper, and I got to tell you the truth is, you've got to really just understand the market you're in and the product you're selling to see where is that audience. I don't think there's any gadget. There's one gadget that's going to get it done. But I do use virtual tours. I do the YouTube videos. I do the photos. I do the floor plans. Anything that I think would work. So there's
What do you
nothing
think?
outside that.
What do you think the new, like, post COVID-19 environment for listings is going to be about? How does I know
Great
everybody's
question.
been thinking about it. By the time this episode airs, will be past almost phase one, almost going into phase two. But what
Right.
does real estate look like in a post COVID-19 environment?
Well, if
It's a
I
loaded
don't think
question, I
people,
know.
no, I know it's funny because I'm not qualified as a health professional, but I
But
will tell you,
what
I
about
say it as a doctor
listings,
voice.
like you know the new way of we're going to take listings normally the way we always do, but what do you think the new procedures for that listing, how will that look for, let's say, Century Homes or for any type of real estate
Mhm.
office, or what it should look like?
That's a very good question because we're going to be working with obviously a more sophisticated seller, more sophisticated buyer, and
Mhm.
they are going to have certain expectations that if for some reason you couldn't meet with them, can you still get a document over to them, right? So I think this is where folks are going to start realizing, those LIBOR members and so forth, they're going to start realizing the value in their dues. They're going to say, wow, Instanet's there, Collab,
Wow,
all these.
I have it. I always had it, but I didn't use it.
Exactly, exactly. And I think this is going to become essential now for it to be part of your arsenal. If you're coming in ill-equipped and not having these things, I think you're totally at a disadvantage. I think at the end of the day, folks are going to still have in the back of their mind, until there's some vaccine, right?
Yeah.
Folks are going to have in the back of their mind the contagion being out there, and they're going to take the precautions and expect you to also take the precautions, with regards to either distancing or PPE. But when it comes to that point of being face to face, they're not going to do as they've done before, at least not for some time.
Right, right. Even going out to dinner, are we
So
going to wear our masks to dinner? Or I went to the bank today and I saw the plexiglass shields there being installed. This is the new environment we live in. I don't want to call it the new normal. I call it the new
yeah.
environment because I guess any time something or someone or anything moves our cheese, we have
Mm,
to readjust our wind sails, to that new environment. So
absolutely.
for listings, um, our fiduciary duties of law of agency will never change. And speaking of law of agency,
Yeah.
the fiduciary duties that I always ask a guest on this show, I know we have some really good um, uh, duties we lived by. We hold these duties sacred along with our code of ethics. But if you had to pick one in that acronym of old car: obedience, loyalty, disclosure, confidentiality, accountability, and reasonable care, which one would you pick
Confidentiality.
and
And I
why?
stay, and I tell you, stay with the old car.
Stay with the old car.
Stay with the
Okay.
old car. Yeah, that's going to be a later tip. But the confidentiality, I think, is very, very important. We are working in a marketplace, and we're working in a day of age where information is very hard to keep secret. And there are very soft points that have major plays in a transaction. So my job relocating to a different place, causing massive motivation to want to sell, and likely having me accept an offer that may have been lesser than what I could have gotten, is not information that's privy to the opposing side. You know, um, we are collaborating, we are working together because every seller needs a buyer, every buyer needs a seller. But at the end of the day, I think that confidentiality allows things to be kept on the up and up, and it kind of ensures that both sides get their even piece of equity. Whether it's the buyer getting a little extra equity in the sale because they bought with some money built into the deal because the guy had to get out in a hurry, but they shouldn't really know what it was. What was the reason? Folks ask me, why is he
Yeah.
selling? Because he's selling.
Yeah,
They want
why
to
is he
sell.
selling? Yeah, why is the
Why
sky
are you
blue?
buying?
Because it's just there. I mean, I wouldn't put a sign on somebody's lawn if they didn't want to sell.
Yes.
So why are you asking me why this person's selling?
I think
Yeah,
the agent plays a crucial factor in being the representative. I think that cliche of like talk to my agent from the Hollywood actors is absolutely crucial at this point in time, because they want to feel that there's a person that understands the marketplace and
right,
navigates it. Just like if
right,
we were, and just like if we were in a marketplace and some guys were selling
right,
chilies and mangoes
right.
or whatever, they want to know that you know how to navigate this market and get them from the beginning to the end without being pickpocketed.
Yeah, I,
So
I think the answer to the question is why are they selling? Isn't the answer always they're relocating?
yes, they're why are they selling? Because they're moving.
Don't get it out of me. You're never gonna get it out of
Yeah.
me. It's confidentiality.
Absolutely. And I
Um,
tell the agents the old car, by the way. I always tell the agents, listen, keep the old car. Because there's a certain thing that you want to have immediately with your folks, and that's building rapport. And I feel like a lot of times we make a couple of dollars in commissions, and times like these come across and we don't have it, and or taxes come across and we don't have it, right? Our 1099, we don't have what to send back. And I think agents need to, sometimes
right.
be very humble, and get good until they're really good at
I
forecasting their
think we do
business.
too
Keep
much.
deals
I
growing.
think we go beyond the scope of our work and we ask too much, so that we now become the mortgage guy, the inspector guy,
That
the
too.
title guy. I
I
think we
agree.
do too much in our industry.
Yeah.
We dig deep too much.
Yeah, I say keep the old car, stay humble, and at the end of the day, just get the job done and keeping the
True,
client forefront.
true.
Absolutely.
Any last minute nuggets? Any advice? I know I'm the one with the golden nuggets for you, but now I'm asking you. I got you in the hot seat today.
Yes, yes, yes.
Give me
I,
some of
I
your golden nuggets.
ideally, I found that collaboration works very, very well. I think, we're all learning real estate in our own ways, licensing schools. They fulfill requirements in regards to hours and a certain topic, but I think that not everybody tunes into the channel the same way, right? We're all listening through these filters. I think at the end of the day, we need to start lifting the filters and really just trying to see things for what they are. And the business is very simple. A buyer's trying to buy a property, a seller's trying to sell a property, and it is for different reasons that each one of them is getting involved. I think we just need to focus on what their reasons are and not what the product is. If we
Right,
can figure out
right.
the reasons and get into that deeper level of conversation, I don't think there's a reason why they would ever not want to work with a realtor. You're always going to have your exceptions, but hey, that's what it is. I think that the realtor, working together is a much powerful force and than anything I mean, I don't think there's any other profession that can be as intimate with a client than that of a realtor. Because it's the shelter they live in. I don't think they get that close with their chef and that's the food they eat. I think the realtor really is key in all the moves that people make on a macro level, right, with regards to their finances, and it's just a matter of us, also working together. Like I said before, if you don't have an answer, have another realtor get you the answer and so forth. I don't know what this would look like. It's not a utopia, but if the communication was open, then we don't need NAR's clear cooperation policy or anybody else imposing on us because we already act harmoniously. I think
Right.
that's what it is. And honestly, this isn't just for any other reason other than getting the consumer to still have that demand for the services that we provide. And I think that's the way to
And
get
if
it done.
they see us cooperating with one another and they see us, working together with our deals, whether I'm the listing agent, you're the selling agent, or vice versa,
Yeah,
um, what we'll be more respected as a profession, and then maybe we'll make the Forbes list of most respected professions of the top 10, because
yeah,
that's my
yeah.
goal. For Pete's sakes, is my goal is to move us from number 13 to number at least 5.
Yeah, those kind of things happen, and you know what, Joe? I think that it's going to happen through collaboration. Not every situation or scenario paints itself to be the ideal one for it to work out, but there's a lot of great stories out there. And one of the things I try to do with my mission, and my reason for doing what I'm doing and what it's going to be, and I want you to be a witness to that, is highlighting that. Is getting people to know that we're not just out here to beat on our own chest and show off how well we
Right,
can sell. And
right.
you know that's not what it's about. We are affecting people's lives and building communities here, and I think that we need to look at each other that way, and not just like, hey, look, he got the listing, I could have got it. Like, so what? There's probably 20 other houses on that same block. Okay. Let's keep it moving.
And the one thing that a person who never received the listing or never got the listing doesn't realize, one of the things that I've always is that maybe they just didn't want to list with you, and maybe the next
Right,
person came in and said something that may have
right,
triggered something inside the other person, said, you know what, I like this person. I think this person, I have confidence in this person selling my home. And I
right.
think that's what the seller does. He or she wants to know that they're not getting a buffoon at the other end of the table that's going to put up for sales. Anybody can put up a for sale sign and do passive marketing, you
Absolutely,
know, but it
absolutely.
takes that one special listing agent like ourselves to
Yeah,
get out there and to show the seller that we have value, that we do have a proposition value, and that we do care, and we show people our human side.
right.
You, my friend, have an Instagram, you have a YouTube channel. by the way,
Yes.
which is phenomenal, and everybody
Thank
should be
you.
following you right now. Could you give the folks on this program your address there so they
Absolutely.
can follow you?
So it's at From the Neighborhood. So everything is from the neighborhood. I go by that. And YouTube is youtube.com/From the Neighborhood, and Instagram is at From the Neighborhood. So that's
That's
those are the two
awesome. That's
accounts.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I feel as though, like I said at the beginning, before we put on the cameras here, I feel as though I've watched you progress from the time you were very little in the business to now, and I
Yeah.
think you have a wonderful future ahead of you,
Well, I
not
was
just with
23
Nara,
when
but in
that happened.
general. What?
I was 23 back then when I started. Yes,
How
sir.
old are you now?
38.
Oh my goodness.
38. Yeah.
Time does fly, doesn't it?
Time does fly, and if you're having a good time, you won't even notice.
That's
And
right. That's
that's when you
right.
know you're in it. And
That's right.
real estate is so vast and broad that you may start here and then go off into something else. And you as well know that I'm in the niche of REO, and that was a listing appointment that took 4 years in the making. So
Yeah.
don't get anxious. Keep going, and eventually it will come to you. It will come to you, or something will come to you where you will realize that that's where you really need it to be. And real
Awesome.
estate, like I said, everything happens in real estate, so it's the key.
Couldn't have said it any better, Anthony. Well,
You're
we
welcome.
ran out of time, but thank you so much for being on my show. This is Joe Sonona with Sonona Speaks Seminars, Coffee Talk with the Listing Pros. I guess this week was Anthony Fernandez from Century Homes. And all the best to you, Anthony.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Have
Appreciate
a
it.
good day, everyone.